Oh, look at that beautiful wall. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Hello guys, and welcome to a new Still Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this one, I have for you another awesome 10v10. This is Tannenberg, and I'm going to be playing with the Panssaridivisioona. And those of you who are familiar with this division might know what's coming, especially if you check out the right-hand side where everybody on our team is playing the same division. That's right, it's the T-26s. Here we go. It's time for another absolutely crazy game of Still Division 2. This time, everybody is bringing in as many T-26s as possible. Like before, we have limited infantry spread out elsewhere across the map, maybe a few AT guns here and there, but the majority of our points are all in these T-26s. And I believe I counted that I had 28 T-26s myself alone at the start, which means that in theory there could be 280 T-26s at the start if everybody did exactly the same start as I did. But alas, they did not. So there's probably around 200, I would say, at the start of this game, which is a lot. There's just so many. You'll see much more as we start to spread out, because if we zoom in, well, they're all on top of each other at the moment, whereas when they actually start to spread out into formation, which I'm starting to do now, well, things are going to start to evaporate. A poor Zis-3 going to try and face down the T-26s as shots come in like an absolute Gatling cannon onto that AT gun. My wall is starting to get into position. You'll see when we start to turn towards the 45mm AT guns. Now these AT guns can be pretty brutal for the T-26s, and the loss of morale to the surrounding tanks can certainly be an issue, so gotta be a bit careful. But the Zis-2 going down there, the 45mm gone, the Sherman 5 taken out as well, the Zis-3 is dead, and everybody now spreading out their tanks. Check out these formations that are starting to form as the T-26s charge forwards and keep unleashing round upon our enemies. These Chernos, again, getting absolutely blitzed by HE as they run away. T-26s aren't the most accurate on the move, so it does still take quite a lot of shots to get the kills. But onwards we go, and our opponents starting to get the armor in position to counter. The Su-76s not really going to stand a chance because they don't have enough armor. The Shermans actually might also go down. I mean, each of these has 75mm of penetration, so as we get closer there will start to be chances of us getting shots in there, and side shots are actually very likely to penetrate, so there we go. Down goes the T-34-85 commander, and one of our enemies has already surrendered. That was this poor chap here playing the 84th, completely overwhelmed by the sheer number of T-26s at the start of this game. Check it out. The line of T-26s pushing forwards hard, smoke piles everywhere as we continue to make this absolutely wild push. On the left side, things are getting bottlenecked, but I'm spread out nicely as we use smoke to advance. I brought in 3 mortars on the backside here to help our team move forwards, because at close range, that's where our penetration lies. So shifting forwards, using the smoke, get close to these Shermans, and we should be able to take them out. The big trouble with doing this, however, is that they might be able to pick off individual units that aren't covered by the smoke, but we do manage to find the penetration there, and onwards we go to the next line of defense, which is this T-34-85, 2 Emchers and some Churchills. Now Churchill's actually really scary in this situation because they have 105mm of frontal armor, just a little bit more than the Shermans, making them a little bit harder to kill for the T-26s. But it is, at the end of the day, all about those side shots. You can see we're getting to the point where this tree line is going to be causing a natural barrier for our tanks. So we're going to have to move around that, and move around it we shall, as we continue to shift onwards with the absolutely amazing amounts of T-26s. It's always glorious to see. Big thank you to everybody who got involved in this battle and played this division, because it was awesome to see, and you can just see the sheer amount of T-26s now pushing towards the spawn. You can see I'm pinging all of these land spawns to let my team know this is the objective. We want to cut off the spawns so that we can then wheel our entire force to the right and start working our way across the map. But we have a lot of troops still to get through, and since we're close to their spawn, they are going to be able to reinforce quickly. So the T-26s here, a brave group leading the charge. This is Enthymion's T-26s getting absolutely brutalized by the line of Churchills. The Churchill 4, very nice rate of fire. You can see they are just bouncing so many shots, but as soon as they show side armor, that's it. Look at that. Look at all the ricochets. The thing is, they're getting ricocheted so much that they end up falling back, and then they show side armor, and that's when they're vulnerable to being killed off. So my T-26 is now coming around the corner and helping this engagement. Unfortunately, a few of them going down along the way, but the Churchill's starting to fall. The Shermans can't keep up under that sustained fire. There's so many shots coming in, slowly but surely routing these tanks. What a lovely line over here, moving forwards. Check that out. So many T-26s moving in, looking for the kills onto the M4 A176s now. And my tanks going to be leading the charge. I set them on a order to move up the road, fast move towards the spawn here, and just keep up the pressure as much as possible. Got other players following me in. Lovely stuff. This is Baba Yan. We got Spicy here. We got Yagged. All moving up and supporting, valiantly charging towards this area. And behind this, we are bringing up some actual units. So Endymion Jinjift, Baba Yan bringing in the ITPSVs. These are actually really interesting Finnish units. They are AA. Sorry about the camera. And they have a 40mm gun with 75mm of penetration, so actually pretty effective against enemy armor, whilst obviously allowing them to cover the sky, which is quite important, because when you're using massed tanks like this, the best use for the enemy is cluster, and we want to avoid that at all costs. Oh, look at that beautiful wall. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely firing all at once like that. Oh, they're going to do it again. Oh, this line didn't. The 6-pounder's gone down. Cromwell 5 in a tough spot with only 70 armor on the front there, that's for sure. But we are slowly whittling down these tanks, as you can see. Even in the frontal armor, over time, these Churchills are getting destroyed. There's that like 1% chance, because so many tanks are firing at them. It's they're eventually able to break through once they get close. Now the Humber LRC Mark III's trying to stand in the way of the T-26 swarm. That's brave. And they're of course going to go down. See Brigany telling people, encouraging people to carry on. Take the spawns. We managed to decap this spawn, and all of the tanks that were here are now burning up. We've now decapped this spawn briefly. We're looking to decap the rest on this top side, so as I said before, we can swing to the right hand side and continue our push. Meanwhile, in the middle, I did have to supplement some troops after my initial infantry died here, so you can see I've brought up a couple of T-26s here and a couple of BAFCs. But otherwise, yep, all hands on deck on the left-hand side. Many T-26 crews were lost this day, but it was a glorious, glorious push to the enemy spawn. And if we can finish off the enemy on this left-hand side, we'll have complete dominance on the left side of the map, and we can continue to push to the right. Now at this point you can see we are at 15-9 on flags, and that means we are inflicting the double tick upon our enemies. Shock actually backing up his push. You can see the finish running across the bridge here, following up the T-26s. That's a very cool scene. Watching all of those men charge forwards. More T-26s from Shock coming around the corner here. We'll soon be engaging the 45mm and the OB-25. Gladiator strafing the 105, funnily enough. And the infantry of the enemy trying to hide in the trees as the T-26s continue to push forwards. But we do have a bit of a problem here, as the M8s have now come up against us. So they are routing a lot of these T-26s of Brigany. Unfortunately, many dead in the push for the spawn. This spawn still under our control. These two, however, constantly being reinforced by the enemy. They are not going to give up without a fight. We do have more troops on the way, and I have the next thing up my sleeve. So, the way that these decks were set up is that they have T-26s in Phase A. We bring in all of them. And then in Phase B, you're going to bring in the BT-42s. Oh yeah, that's right. And then after that, you are going to bring in all of the bombers, because the Panssari, I believe, do get quite a lot of bombers, so that was going to be the follow-up. But regardless, BT-42s for now, and this will actually be fantastic for hitting the units that are coming in on the spawn, because they're going to be so concentrated. So we're going to be able to continue to pin them down, whilst anybody who has a T-26 remaining can push on in. Now Shock has managed to take the left-hand spawn, so that's worked out really, really nicely for him. Artillery is going to be coming in from the centre of the map and hitting those T-26s pretty hard though. T-26s don't have much ammo, so they are vulnerable to rocket strikes. They're all going to be falling back in the face of this armour. But BT-42s now aiming towards the spawn. I'm trying to get them to hit the Cromwell 8s here. That's Cromwell 7s, sorry. Because these bad boys, they've got a lot of front armour. They've got 120mm of frontal armour. There's also the Churchill 7s behind, which also have 150mm of armour, which is really, really tough for these T-26s to penetrate. So here we go, BT-42s firing away, lobbing shots towards the enemy. I really just love watching these big 10v10s after we played them, because it's just absolutely spectacular. So here comes my rounds. Any direct hits are actually going to do significant damage to enemy tanks, so that's also extremely helpful with the BT-42s. Ever since they became indirect fire capable, see that one there killing a Cromwell on its way up, and that's helping severely as the T-26s are trying to breach around the corner towards these spawns. But this spawn is now fully under our control, as Endymion has managed to move infantry into position. Infantry also catching up on the other side here, so we're starting to completely encircle this pocket where these tanks are coming in. It's kind of funny when you look at the reinforcing road here, because it is, you know, as if they're landing more and more troops to come in and fight us. We're trying to hold them at bay and stop them from breaking out of this beachhead. Now bringing in the Phase B Melonen, which are Panzer IVs, and the T-28s upgrading just a tad from the T-26s. Meanwhile, my artillery continues to fall down towards the Churchills in order to break them down and allow us to push forwards once again with the T-26s. Meanwhile, the rest of the map holding on for dear life. In the centre, we're just about holding this flag thanks to the T-26. On the right, unfortunately, we have been pushed off this flag temporarily, but plenty of Nostovaki coming in to help out. I've got an AT gun here covering the open, just in case. But yeah, we're really looking forward to just completely capturing the rest of these spawns. And the Yakari trying to get into a position to do that. Probably as every time they're bringing in another unit, it does kind of stop us in our tracks. BT-42's ready and waiting to fire off shots once again. So just check out all the wrecks here. Absolute bloodbath of T-26s. A heroic finish charge. Doing a lot of work against the Allies. The BT-42s going to be hitting this light cover where they're trying to hide a bunch of their tanks. Tanks are going to be forced forwards. So what I'm actually going to do in this case is I'm going to opt to use the flamer attack on the BT-42s. So in order to use the flames on these BT-42s, you've got to turn off the HE shells. And what that does is it activates this napalm round that BT-42s can direct fire at enemy tanks. And because it does so much HE, it can be incredibly powerful. But since I spotted one of these M8s on the other side of the tree line, I'm going to be targeting them instead since the Cromwells ended up going down. But yeah, at some point the flames here can become very, very useful. And for like a 60-point tank, you can end up killing some pretty big targets with it. Like these BT-42s can kill IS-2s. So that is definitely not something to scoff at. But with the Nelonans coming around here with the T-26 leader, oh yeah, two veteran C Panzer IVs ripping apart all of the reinforcements coming in. See the M8s now starting to go down in the mid. I am able to take out a couple of units, the Priest DD going down and the Humber as they're trying to push up there. My artillery going to continue to fall on these M8 Cavs, and they are very, very weak to this artillery, so they are going to fall. I can't help but resist to get my BT-42s closer, because when they can fire their flame rounds, it is extremely fun. We're certainly going to start adding to these wrecks as our opponents continue to try and push in. And honestly, big props to our opponents in this game. One of them did surrender relatively early on, but a lot of people played on. And here we go. The flames coming in. You'll see them start to smash into the spawn here. And it will just kill anything and everything that's in this position. Just burn up the spawn. Anything that comes in will also take damage because it leaves napalm on the ground. Look at these journos. There you go. Deleted. Utterly deleted. And now these T-26s have cut off the spawn on this side. We cut off the spawn nearly on the other side. And once we do, nothing more will be coming in on this left-hand side. There we have it. The T-26 push finally succeeded with the help of heavier tanks in the end. But what a brutal, brutal push through the left-hand side here. You can see where it all started when the T-26s started to fall down, and then moving forwards you can just see the entire front line dotted with wrecks. Just look how far that goes into the distance as well. just insane scenes that you just do not find in any other game. It's just incredible. This is one reason why Steel Division 2 is my favorite game, my favorite RTS game, probably of all time. Because as a child, like playing World War II games, this was like the dream, right? Playing a 3D World War II simulator, like RTS game. I wouldn't call it a simulator. That's probably not the correct choice. Although I say that, when we brought in the biplanes in the previous big 10v10, it did almost look like something out of a war film, and this somewhat does too. But the BT-42s going to be trying to clean out the infantry in this tree line just to make sure that we don't lose our hold on the spawns. So they're going to just be chucking rounds up and over. Anything that's left in here will get pinned down or killed off, and we can easily surrender it. Now I'm starting to save up for some bombers here. You can see I've got some Ju-87 D5s ready to go. And the plan with those will basically be to push further to the right here and yeah, do as much damage as we can as we carry on. Continuing to build in or buy in more and more of the Ju-87s for the next wave of meme. The BT-42s, they did a good job with their flames, so I'm going to be quite happy to push them across to the right hand side here. They do have a reasonable range with that round as well. It's like 1,750. So it's longer than like a medium tank, like a Sherman 5. And that's something that you can really abuse. We're getting to the point now where it's 15 to 9 once again. 4 minutes left on the clock. And finally, the wheeling of our forces has begun as we push towards the center of the map. My BT-42 is currently aimed at the abundance of AA, because we do of course want to bring in our bombers, and once all of this is pinned down we can think about bringing it in. So here goes the BTs, and again the nice thing about these BT-42 is they're going to do a lot of damage if they direct hit these. So down it comes, one of the rounds onto the 85 mils and the 37, pinning them in place. Well, here come the Ju-87s on the right hand side. Figures I would help out here instead, since it was taking too long. We got these poor IS-2s and T-34s that are going to get bombed by my Ju-87s. Cluster strikes coming through from Jagd and Grim, smashing all of the armor there. There was a lot more AA than I anticipated, but just due to the sheer number of bombers that we brought in on this right hand side, a lot of them survived, so it wasn't too bad. And that's going to give us back that flag. 16 to 8. Huge bombing strike doing the job. My artillery still trying to hammer their AA here. And just what an incredible game this was. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock as the infantry starts to move out towards our enemy. Mackie standing valiantly in our way with the commandos. Imagine being these commandos and all you can hear is hundreds and hundreds of troops moving through the forest. That must be mighty scary. Bringing out my T-28s on this right hand side to help out as well. The T-28s, they got 3 machine guns plus HE. The HE is pretty strong on those. They're great units. Unfortunately, on this side, I think my BT-42s ended up taking a rocket strike to the face, so they are having problems. We're going to try and get them into cover so that they can continue to harass enemy AA and allow our bombers to get through. Dio T-17s of ND trying their best to get bombs off onto these AA pieces as well. Does manage to kill one. Just the sheer amount of AA that our opponents invested in is really doing a lot of damage, and the Hellcat of Taki able to shoot down one bomber. Doesn't quite catch the next one. It's going to be going for the Blenheim. Won't be able to get on its tail in time. That Blenheim not going to be long for this world as it flies straight into loads of AA. T-28s now arriving on the right hand side, but with only 40 seconds left on the clock. It's not long until our enemies are forced to concede against what was an incredible push. We'll just zoom in here and admire the destruction as the Katyushas rain in the distance. Look at that. A beautiful view. PT-42 sat in there looking like a wreck because it's so damaged. One of my BTs. There we go. 10 seconds left. T-28s on the right hand side going to be able to help get off some guards. But that is it. And there you have it, guys. The T-26 game of dreams. 26 minutes. And 13 seconds, almost poetic in the number of minutes that took. And the end, yeah, nice KDs for some of our players for sure. Shock there with the 2,800 kills to 1,080 losses. Myself, not so great, 1,135 kills to 830 losses. And some of us going kind of negative as well. But yeah, in the end, we took the ground, we held those flags, and we held those spawns, and that won us the game. So fantastic stuff. When you're seeing like a T-26B here, Nikari, what a Chad. Taking out a T-34-85 Commander and a Sherman. This BT-42 took out the Cromwell 7 and the Firefly for us. That one took out, T-26 took out an M4. A couple of kills for my Sokka 85s, which are the T-34-85s. At the beginning, though, you can see my T-26 is actually struggling to get quite a lot of kills. But alas, we made it work. We made it work. Hellmarks trying its best to hold back the tide of my T-26s. Each of these T-26s not really costing very much, like 20 points, 15 points, some of them, I think. Yeah. What a wild ride. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.